Hello Tubesters, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're going to be looking at some 10mm from my League of Augsburg project. It's two Jacobite units, I had to think then. One is the Connells, and I believe the foot regiment is Lord Louth's. I don't think he's an Earl, I think he's a Lord. I'm not too up on that, I shall have to check before I actually go down to the workbench. Because I'm just going to give you a quick blurb about what I know about both regiments, quick look at the figures, and I also based those three 10mm houses from battle scale just to see how they would look, and I think they've come up alright. So if you'd like to join me at the workbench, we'll take a quick look and see what you think of them. So see you in a minute. Hello Tubesters, thanks for joining me at the bench. I've put these out on the table now, or on the bench. As I said, let me get my little pointy stick as usual. Right, let's see where we are in focus. Right, these are battle scale buildings. They're solid resin. I've mounted them on cork floor tiles, and just used my obviously some silver sand, PVA down, just a couple of applications of paint, dry brush with silver sand, and I think this is spring tufts. I do them a bit brighter on these, just the 10 mils, so they show up a bit more. I think they've come out all right. Now the actual background one, this green here, this is obviously a piece of that railway stuff that's stuck down on a cork floor tile, and it's actually quite it's warped slightly, and I think that's just because of the overall size of it. Obviously it's not been stuck down to anything, whereas you cut these up and you know there's not enough there to really warp, if that makes sense. So I cut them in odd shapes just to make them look a bit different. Put some magnetic strips at the bottom. I've got lots of offcuts from where I'm doing my main figures, so that's those. Again, just some tufts which I make myself with a flat box. Again, you know, I won't show you the other one because it's exactly the same, apart from maybe being a slightly different diameter base. The figures, this is the Earl of Tyrconnell's regiment of horse. Now I've done these all in the same. I'm sorry if I'm stuttering a bit. I keep trying to use different camera angles, determined to get one that will work for me. I'm a bit constricted on the bench, so let's see if we can go in a bit. Problem is with 10mm, you don't want to go in too close because they do look a bit rough after a bit. Hand painted colour again. Obviously that's command base. These are for, I will eventually use beneath the Lily Banners rules, as people have told me in previous posts I've done. Cavalry are only two bases, but as I've said to these guys, I do my own thing. I'm only ever going to be, it's only solo, so obviously I've put magnetic strips at the sheet at the bottom. But the Earl of Tyrconnell, he was King James's overall commander in Ireland, and when King James was evicted by King William in the Glorious Revolution, he was still in power in Ireland, because technically, King James was still there. He was I would say he was a fairly lacklustre commander, but then again, King James is a fairly lacklustre field commander himself, so I think they probably bounced off each other. I've just done a couple of horses different with tails and manes, just to look a bit different, but I've kept the unit overall looking like it's fairly homogeneous. This was an old unit in the sense it was already formed in Ireland before the Glorious Revolution, so it would have been well equipped and well mounted, and I've taken it on myself without really any knowledge that all the mounts would have been roughly the same. And it was a large unit as well. They reckon, I think, anywhere from 500 to 750, which is obviously a large unit for the day, and quite a powerful one on the battlefield. Just sneaking into shot here. I can't really get them to look any farther to the camera. This is the Lord Louth's regiment of foot. Again, Jacobite, so serving King James. They're in French grey. It was the one thing that, at the time, the Royal Navy was only really just starting to show itself, that the French could still best them and the Dutch a lot of the times, although obviously we were then allied with the Dutch once King William and Queen Mary came to the throne. Queen Mary being King James's Protestant daughter, King James being Catholic. So a lot of supplies were getting through to the people in Ireland to form these new regiments up, and obviously the French fighting in off-white, greys, and light greys. Obviously that's what they got their hands on. But yeah, it's quite often you'll see with Jacobite units a lot of reds, because obviously by then the English establishment and the Welsh establishment, the English establishment and the Irish establishment obviously favoured red. So if you were a Jacobite unit that had access to King James's, uniforms, reds and whatever, then obviously you wore red. If you're one of the later units that was reformed, you tended to wear a lot of the whites and off greys. Now the problem is with white at 10mm, you've got to leave some big transitions, some big gaps between your highlights. I've gone a bit subtle there, but to be honest with you, I think it works. But what I try and do, I've got a couple of regiments in off-white already, or light grey, and I try and vary them so they're not all the same. And these got the brown facings. The colours, again, handmade. I didn't do a good job sticking these together. I rushed them. I think I'll be able to redo those again. Not the most exciting colours in the world. And again, cork rock and the usual tufts that you've seen on everything else. So thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. It was good to get a couple more units. Oh, I say good. You know what it's like. You start to and you think, well, I'll just pull these out me box, and I'll have a couple of them as well. So I've actually got a Williamite horse unit almost complete to represent the freshly put together units for the Enniskillen area that held out against King James. Obviously, it was Londonderry that held out, and Enniskillen. But Enniskillen had more freedom of movement. They have obviously had a lot more land under their control rather than being hemmed in behind the walls of Londonderry. So yeah, that's I'm trying to show an ad hoc unit that would have operated around those times with captured red jackets off the Jacobites that was sent against them. And I'm also doing another bit of an artillery park and some commanders as well. And I've got one more regiment of foot, I believe, for the Jacobites to do as well. Hopefully I'm going to be sending off for a couple of rivers pretty soon, because I say I would like to maybe have some little battles over Christmas time with these if possible. So thanks again for stopping by and taking a look, and I will catch you again soon on another video. Cheers.